A dream turned nightmare. In the third week of their journey, the first cracks began to appear beneath the fairy tale surface. A witness reported to the police that a couple had been arguing on the side of the road. The man was shouting angrily while the young woman tried to defend herself through tears. When the police arrived, the cameras recorded everything. Emily's eyes were red and swollen, her hands trembling. She whispered in a shaky voice, "It was my fault. I just panicked a little." Daniel, on the other hand, tried to downplay the situation. "Emily was just stressed, but it's fine. We've handled it." But the fear on Emily's face could not be hidden behind her tears. The officers decided the couple needed to spend some time apart. Daniel would spend the night in a motel. Emily was placed in the back of a police car and taken to a women's counseling center in the city. Inside the car, the camera captured her staring silently out the window, tears streaming down her face. One of the officers gently handed her a bottle of water and said softly, "Think of this as a break. You just need some time to breathe." Emily nodded, but the helplessness in her eyes spoke louder than words. That night, the official report would only describe the incident as a minor argument. But in reality, it was the clearest warning sign of the tragedy that was coming. Emily's tears and Daniel's anger were no longer just their secret. A crack had opened wide enough for the world to see. Emily's last post on social media was dated August 25th. It showed her by the edge of a lake, the wind playing with her hair, a faint smile on her face. The caption she wrote beneath it felt almost prophetic. "Sometimes the most beautiful moments are hidden in the quietest corners." After that post, there was nothing. Emily was never heard from again. At first, her followers thought it was just a short break. But Emily's mother knew better. This silence was not normal. Emily spoke to her mother every single day. She never started her mornings without a good morning message. And every evening, she made sure to call. One morning, her mother looked at her phone. No message, no notification. She typed quickly, "Sweetheart, how are you?" Minutes passed, then hours, but there was no reply. Her mother's worry quickly turned into panic. Meanwhile, Daniel had returned to town, alone. He parked their camper van in front of his house, but Emily was not with him. One neighbor later recalled, "I saw Daniel washing the van. He was scrubbing it with a hose over and over again, like he was trying to erase every trace of the journey. But the strangest thing was his face. There was no worry, no fear. He looked like a man who didn't care at all where his fiancée was." Emily's family, their hearts pounding, rushed to Daniel's door. Her mother, with tears streaming down her face, begged, "Where is Emily? Where is my daughter?" Daniel avoided her eyes. In a low, flat voice, he simply said, "I don't know. We just needed some time apart." Her mother staggered, her knees nearly giving way. "No, Emily told me everything. She would never leave without saying a word. You're lying to me." But Daniel's face remained frozen. No anger, no regret, no sorrow. Only a cold, hollow silence. Emily's father stepped forward, his voice firm. "Listen, son. We are not going to let this go. You will tell us where Emily is, or the police will find out." Daniel said nothing. He simply shut the door in their faces. For Emily's family, waiting was no longer an option. They went straight to the police and filed a missing persons report. Her mother, sobbing, pleaded with the officers, "My daughter doesn't just disappear. I talk to her every single day. Please, please find her." But Daniel still refused to speak. When the police tried to take his statement, he called his lawyer. From that moment on, he didn't say a single word. During those days, Daniel continued living as if nothing had happened. He ate quiet dinners with his family. He went shopping. He even rode his bike through the neighborhood. It was as if his fiancée had not vanished at all. This behavior didn't just terrify Emily's family, it unsettled the entire town. Desperate and running out of hope, Emily's family turned to the public for help. Her younger sister posted a smiling photo of Emily online with the message, "Emily is missing. Please, if you've seen her, contact us." The call spread rapidly across the country. Friends, strangers, journalists, everyone joined the cry for help. Within days, the hashtag #FindEmily was trending nationwide. Emily's smiling face appeared on television screens and newspapers and on millions of phones across America. But in the middle of this massive search, one thing never changed: Daniel's silence. His refusal to speak made Emily's disappearance even more chilling, and in the minds of everyone who saw her picture, one question echoed again and again: what happened to Emily? The tragic discovery weeks had passed since Emily's disappearance. Every day, new volunteers joined the search. On social media, the hashtag #FindEmily echoed across the country. Police, volunteers, and family members searched tirelessly across endless plains, rugged mountain trails, and abandoned campgrounds. Then one morning, a trembling voice broke through the radio from a volunteer in the field. "Here, we found something." In that instant, it felt as if every heart stopped. Search teams rushed to the location deep inside Silver Creek National Park in a secluded area surrounded by rocky cliffs. And there, at last, they found her. The young woman the whole nation had been looking for. Emily's lifeless body, left in the silent arms of nature. But the marks on her face told a different story. Her death was not an accident. It was the result of violence. Soon after, officials confirmed the cause of death: strangulation. The announcement shattered not only Emily's family, but the entire nation. Her mother collapsed upon hearing the news. Through uncontrollable sobs, she managed to say only one sentence: "My baby, I couldn't protect you." Her father stood silently against the wall. Tears rolled down his face as he whispered softly, "She always dreamed of a journey, but her journey was never meant to end like this." News of Emily's discovery spread rapidly across the country. Television screens carried devastating headlines: "Young woman's disappearance ends in tragedy." On social media, thousands of people shared her picture, now framed with black ribbons. One volunteer who had joined the search spoke through tears. "We found her, but it was too late. If only we had found her just a few days earlier." With Emily's body discovered, all eyes turned immediately to Daniel, because he was still silent. still refusing to say a single word. And as the nation mourned, one question grew louder in every mind. Who did this to her? After Emily's lifeless body was found, the entire nation turned its eyes to one man, Daniel Miller. He had set out on the journey with her, but when he returned, Emily was no longer by his side. The police summoned Daniel for questioning again and again. But Daniel refused to say a word. He hired a lawyer, avoided the cameras, and buried himself in silence. For Emily's family, that silence was unbearable. Her mother stood before the press, tears streaming down her face, crying out, "Daniel, if you have even a shred of conscience left, tell us the truth. We saw our daughter with you alive for the last time. What happened to her? What did you do to her?" But Daniel lowered his head. Not a single word escaped his lips. That silence only made him more suspicious in the eyes of the public. Headlines screamed across the country. The only witness to the young woman's disappearance remained silent. Soon, Daniel's behavior grew even stranger. While the investigation pressed on, he spent his days eating quiet dinners with his family, riding his bike, shopping in town, as if no crime had ever happened, as if nothing was wrong. This cold indifference pushed public anger to its peak. And then, one morning, Daniel, too, was gone. His family entered its room. The bed was empty. He had taken only a backpack and walked out the door. All he left behind were the keys to the camper van and a few clothes. Daniel's disappearance exploded across the news. Now, there was not only a nationwide search for Emily, but for Daniel as well. Police scoured the forests with dogs. Drones flew over wetlands. Volunteers searched by the lakeside. For days, the media broadcasted live every evening. The nation waited by their screens. When will he be found? Days turned into weeks, and finally, the news everyone had been waiting for arrived deep inside Silver Creek Nature Park in a swampy area. A decomposing body was discovered. DNA confirmed it was Daniel. Beside him lay a small notebook, soaked in mud. Authorities opened its fragile pages. Written in shaky, hurried handwriting were these words: "Everything was my fault. I loved Emily, but my anger consumed me. I lost her. I cannot take it back. There is no reason for me to live anymore." This confession shook the country once again. But for Emily's family, it was no comfort, because Daniel's death meant the truth would never fully be told. There would be no trial, no cross-examination, no confrontation, no justice. When her mother heard the news, she fell to her knees, her voice barely a whisper through tears. "Now I have lost my daughter and the chance to ever know the full truth," her father cried out in anger. "Daniel chose to run. He chose to escape justice. This is a second tragedy for us." That day, in the quiet wilderness of Silver Creek, 2 bodies were found, and together they told the world that a journey once called a love story had ended in a point of no return for 2 young lives. The discovery of Emily's body and the death of Daniel soon after sent shockwaves across the entire nation. It was no longer just a story of a missing young woman. It had become a tragedy that touched the hearts of millions. On social media, Emily's name echoed for days. Her smiling photographs were shared, this time framed with black ribbons. The hashtag number sign, Find Emily, soon transformed into number sign, Justice for Emily. People felt that justice had been left unfinished because with Daniel's death, there would be no trial, no confrontation, no answers in a courtroom. But the issue was bigger than Emily alone. Her case forced society to confront a far greater truth: violence against women and the epidemic of femicides. Newspapers and television programs ask the same questions every day. How many women like Emily lose their lives at the hands of someone they trusted? How many warning signs are ignored? The statistics were chilling. Every year, hundreds of women suffered violence at the hands of their husbands, fiancés, or boyfriends. Many of their stories never made it to the news. They vanished in silence. Emily's tragedy became the voice of those silenced lives. Public debate erupted. Some said, this shows how easily abuse in relationships is dismissed. Others demanded, why didn't the police and institutions recognize the signs earlier? Through tears, Emily's mother issued a plea. I cannot bring my daughter back, but I beg you, let no other mother live my pain. Silence brings death. To honor their daughter's memory, the family founded the Emily Sanders Foundation. The foundation's mission was to support women and young people facing abuse, to give them visibility, and to make sure their stories were not lost. They organized seminars. They launched hotlines. They began national awareness campaigns. One father, speaking through tears, left words that would never be forgotten. Emily's story is not just one girl's story. It is the story of every silenced woman, and we will be silent no more. Emily's journey had ended in tragedy, but her name became a symbol, a banner, in the fight against violence toward women, and the story left one final lesson behind. Behind smiling faces, sometimes the darkest screams are hidden. To hear those screams, to recognize them before it is too late, is not just an act of kindness. It is society's greatest responsibility. Every secret waits to be revealed. Every silence carries an echo. Every story is waiting to be told. This was her secret. What about yours? Subscribe and step into the echoes of truth.